Good evening. Tonight, there's no train, no rush of rails beneath us. Tonight, we're going somewhere much slower, somewhere at the very edge of things, where the land runs out and the sea takes over. Let your eyes close if they haven't already, and come with me up the hill to the lighthouse. It sits alone at the tip of a narrow point of rock, white and simple, worn soft at the edges by 100 years of wind. Below it, the sea moves the way it always has. Not violently, just endlessly, a long, slow breathing in and out against the rocks, over and over, patient in a way that nothing hurried could ever be. You climb the last stretch of path, grass brushing against your ankles, damp with evening. The air here smells like salt and cold stone, and the particular mineral sharpness of a place where the ocean has been breathing for longer than anyone can remember. Somewhere below, gulls settle for the night, their calls growing fewer and further apart until they stop altogether. The door to the lighthouse is heavy, painted a blue that's faded almost to gray, and it opens with a low, familiar creak. The kind of sound that doesn't disturb anything, because everything here is already used to it. Inside, it's warmer. A small stove glows in the corner of the keeper's room, its light flickering low and orange across a round table. 2 mismatched chairs, a kettle just beginning to hum. This is the keeper's evening. Every night, the same rounds, in the same order. And there is a particular kind of comfort in that, in doing a thing so many times that your hands know it before your mind has to think about it. You fill the kettle, if it isn't already filling itself, and set it on the stove. While it warms, you check the logbook, resting open on the table exactly where it was left. The handwriting inside is small and steady, decades of nights recorded in short, unremarkable lines. Wind from the northwest. Clear skies. Nothing to report. Sea calm tonight. Page after page of nights when nothing happened, which, out here, is exactly the point. The kettle begins to sing, low and rising, and you lift it before it can get too loud, pouring the water slow and careful into a chipped white cup. Tea, dark and a little too strong, the way it's always made out here, because out here, there's no one to make it any other way. You wrap both hands around the cup and feel the heat travel up into your fingers, your wrists, settling somewhere warm behind your ribs. There's a cat, you notice, curled on the second chair, one that must have wandered up from the village at some point and simply decided to stay. She doesn't open her eyes as you sit down across from her, just shifts slightly, tucking her nose further into her own fur, entirely unbothered by the sound of the sea, or the wind, or you. You drink your tea slowly. There is nowhere else to be. The rounds don't start themselves, and they don't need to be rushed. They simply need to happen, one after another, in their own time. When the cup is empty, you rise, taking your coat from its hook, because before the stairs, there's the perimeter to walk, a short, familiar loop around the base of the tower, the same steps every night, worn into the grass like a memory the ground has kept for you. Outside, the wind has picked up just slightly, enough to carry the smell of the sea further up the hill, salt and cold stone and something faintly green underneath it. Some low plant clinging to the rocks that only smells like anything at all after dark. A thin mist has started to gather at the waterline, not quite fog yet, just the sea beginning to breathe visibly in the cooling air. You check the fog bell first, out of habit more than necessity, its rope coiled neat beside it, ready, though tonight it won't be needed. The sky is clear enough. The stars are already out in scattered handfuls, and the moon sits low and heavy over the water, laying a long, pale path across the waves that shifts and reforms with every swell, never quite the same shape twice. You walk the rest of the loop slowly, letting your boots find the familiar unevenness of the path without needing to look down. Below, the sea folds against the rocks in that same unhurried rhythm, arriving, retreating, arriving again, a sound so constant out here that it stops registering as sound at all and starts to feel more like silence's older, gentler cousin. Halfway around, you pass the small stone bench where, according to the logbook, keepers have been sitting for as long as there's been a light to keep. You don't sit tonight. There's tea going cold inside and rounds still to finish, but you pause for just a moment, letting the wind settle around you, letting the size of the sea remind you, gently, of how small tonight's little list of tasks really is. Back inside, the warmth of the stove meets you at the door like something glad you've returned. You finish the tea, now just barely warm, and it tastes even better for having gone a little cool, the way things sometimes do when you've earned them slowly instead of all at once. Then, at last, the stairs. You take the small oil lamp from its hook by the door, its flame low and steady inside curved glass. The stairs to the top begin just past the kitchen, narrow and spiraling, worn smooth in the centers where 100 years of careful feet have climbed them, one hand always trailing the cool stone wall. Up you go, slowly, unhurried, the lamp swaying gently with each step, its small light catching the curve of the stairwell and letting it go again, over and over, a soft rhythm all its own. The sound of the sea grows fainter the higher you climb, replaced by the low whistle of wind finding its way through old window frames, a sound almost like breathing, almost like the building itself is settling in for the night, the same as you. At the top, the lamp room opens around you, glass on every side, and the great lens sits at its center, patient and enormous, waiting. Beyond the glass, the world is nothing but dark water and a sky just beginning to fill with stars, scattered and quiet, doing their slow work far above the reach of the light. You check the mechanism the way you always do, the oil, the wick, the smooth, practiced turning of the great lens as it begins its rotation, slow and steady, a full turn every so many seconds. The same rhythm it's kept every night for longer than anyone currently living has been alive. The beam sweeps out and away from you, a long blade of light laid flat across the water, sliding over the waves, touching the rocks below, and gone again, already reaching for the next turn. You sit for a while in the lamp room, wrapped in the blanket that lives folded over the single chair up here, watching the light do its slow, endless work. The beam sweeps out. The beam comes home, out, and home again, a rhythm so steady you could set your breathing to it, and after a while, without quite deciding to, you do. Far below, the sea keeps its own rhythm too, waves arriving and retreating, never quite matching the light's rhythm, never quite apart from it either. Two patient, endless motions, layered over each other in the dark, neither one in any hurry to finish. Somewhere out past the reach of the beam, you imagine a ship, small and distant, watching for exactly this light, trusting it to keep turning, the way it always has, the way it always will, whether or not anyone stays awake to watch it happen. That's the quiet secret of a lighthouse. It doesn't need you to keep it going. It only needs you to have started it, and then it carries on, faithfully, into the night, all on its own. Your eyes have grown heavy, somewhere between one sweep of the light and the next. The chair holds you the way the train seat held you last time, the way any good, well-worn thing holds you when you finally stop insisting on staying upright. Your head tips slowly toward the cool glass, and the last thing you see clearly is the beam sliding out over black water, unhurried, certain, gone. The cat has followed you up at some point without you quite noticing and settled now against your side, a small, warm weight, rising and falling with her own slow breathing, in time with yours, in time with the sea, in time with the light, out and home again, out and home again. The rhythm doesn't ask anything of you now. It simply continues, patient and certain, the way it was built to, and you are welcome to rest inside it for as long as you need. The wind outside has settled into a low, steady hush, brushing against the old glass without any real force behind it, more like a lullaby than a storm. Somewhere far below, the sea continues its long conversation with the rocks, unhurried, unbothered, exactly as it will be tomorrow night, and the night after that, and every night the light keeps turning. You don't have to watch it any longer. That was never really the job. The job was only ever to light it and trust it and let it do the rest, which is, perhaps, its own kind of permission. Permission to close your eyes. Permission to let the rhythm carry what you can no longer carry yourself. At some point, without quite deciding to, you make your way back down the spiral stairs, the cat trailing sleepily behind, the lamp swaying its same soft rhythm against the stone. The keeper's bed sits low and simple in the corner of the room below, blankets heavy and a little rough, exactly the kind of heavy that feels like being held rather than covered. You lie down, and the sound of the sea comes, up softly through the old floorboards, steady as ever, patient as ever, entirely unbothered by whether you're awake to hear the rest of it. Above you, through the small round window, you can just catch the beam as it passes, out and away, then home again, a soft wash of light sweeping the ceiling every so many seconds, slower now, or maybe you're only slower with it. The cat settles somewhere near your feet. The stove ticks quietly as it cools, and somewhere out past the glass, the sea keeps folding against the rocks, over and over, a rhythm with no beginning you can remember and no end in sight, which is exactly the kind of rhythm that sleep is made of. Rest now. The light will keep turning all night, whether you're awake to see it or not. It always does.